Welcome back to the channel, guys. LEGO Star Wars has been out for a little bit now, and I've really been testing what's possible in combat. Compared to previous LEGO games, the combat system in this one has been completely revamped, and it's a lot more in-depth than before. You can do some pretty cool things in the Skywalker Saga, and in today's video, I'm gonna go over 8 combat tips you should know. Guys, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and getting notified. We have a lot of LEGO Star Wars videos lined up, and if you find these tips helpful, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and help us defeat that algorithm. So LEGO actually borrowed a lot of combat elements from pre-existing Star Wars games. We'll go over some of those first to help bridge the gap. The first trick you should know is the quick get-up. This is taken right out of Jedi Fallen Order. When you get hit by an area of effect attack, you'll get knocked down, which can leave you open for another hit. In Jedi, if you time a jump right as you hit the ground, you'll spring back up to your feet. And the exact same thing is true in the Skywalker Saga. When you get knocked down, if you do nothing, your character will get back up automatically, but it does take some time. If you can time a jump right as you hit the ground, your character will spring back up to their feet and keep fighting. Next, we have a move that's ripped right out of Star Wars Battlefront 2 by EA. This is the lunge attack. The lunge is done when you do an attack when there is a bit of distance between you and the enemy. It might take some trial and error before you find that range every single time, but if you played Battlefront 2, this should look really familiar. It's the exact same thing. This move is helpful because you close that distance faster than if you were running at your target, and you're already in the middle of an attack, so it's basically guaranteed damage. You can get in, get some hits, and then get out. This segues perfectly into the next trick because it goes hand in hand with the lunge. This is the parry, guys. Yes, you can actually parry attacks in LEGO Star Wars. This one is pulled out of both Fallen Order and Battlefront 2. Normally, when you just hold the block button in LEGO, you'll just deflect the damage, but it won't interrupt your enemy's combo. They can keep swinging at you. However, if you time a block right as their saber is about to make contact with yours, you'll parry that attack and send the enemy bouncing back a few feet. By itself, this doesn't really do anything other than open up some space. There's no stamina meter like in Fallen Order, so this just looks more flashy than anything, but when you throw the lunge attack in there, all sorts of cool things start happening. It works like this. You parry an attack, which bounces the enemy back, but as they're getting bounced, you attack them too. The distance they create will turn your attack into the lunge, which we just went over, and you can keep comboing from there. That way you don't have to chase them down after the parry. It's really fun, it looks cool, and it saves your health. So after you parry the target, obviously next comes the combo, and that's what this next trick is all about. There are many combo variations in this game, but I want to focus on one in particular, and that's the throw. So most characters in the Skywalker Saga have a combo where they literally grab the enemy and judo throw them into the ground. This sets them up for more hits and is usually a death sentence, since the AI can't recover quickly from knockdowns like we can. The way to perform the throw is by doing 2 light attacks followed by a single heavy attack. On PlayStation, that's square, square, circle. On Xbox, that would be XXB. Not too sure what it is on PC, but just remember, light, light, heavy will result in a throw. Every character's is unique, and my favorite way to use this is with a character who has a blaster. Grievous is my personal best, since he throws them and sets them up beautifully for shots. It's better in 1 versus 1 fights, obviously, but as you can see, it works just fine in groups too. Next up, you might have learned this one simply through playing the game. It does offer this tip every now and again, but just in case you haven't seen it yet, characters that have a saber throw can actually lock on to multiple targets before throwing the lightsaber at them. This makes the saber travel to all the targets you selected, and it gives you a hit on each one. It's excellent for clearing out crowds of enemies quickly, and it's also equally as good in exploration, when you're just farming for studs. In rooms with a lot of breakable stuff, just target as many as you can and let the lightsaber do the work while you get rich. The damage is pretty average, it seems to be a constant 25, but sometimes you'll get lucky, and you'll get a return hit as well, making it 50. That's another thing borrowed from Battlefront. Moving away from lightsabers for a bit, the next tip is really me just praising the Bounty Hunter class. I said it in a previous video, guys, the bounty hunter is ridiculously overpowered in this game. Balance was not considered when making the bounty hunter class. In the class upgrade screen, legit all 4 of the bounty hunter's upgrades are some of the best in the game. Scatter shot makes your weapon rip through health bars, the scan shows enemies through walls, they have a shock grenade to stun enemies, and they collect a bounty of studs on every single kill. I don't know what TT Games was thinking when it came to this class because it's just leagues above all the others, in my opinion. If you want an easy time in free play mode, or if you're just trying to speedrun or something, use a maxed out bounty hunter. You'll probably never have a single issue again. After that, the next tip is to abuse the heavy attack. The heavy attack is pretty cheesy in this game. Most characters have one that's a little slower than the light attack, but it's a constant stream of damage and stuns. Some characters have incredibly iconic heavy attack combos. Palpatine and Snoke, for instance, have a non-stop stream of lightning, but my personal favorite is General Grievous. If you played Battlefront 2, you're familiar with Unrelenting Advance. Well, Grievous can do it forever in LEGO Star Wars, and this is achieved by spamming the heavy attack non-stop. It's tons of fun, and it's non-stop damage. The spinning sabers on Grievous specifically is great for clearing crowds. And with that, that brings us to our final tip for today's video, guys. This one has to do with the Scoundrel and the Astromech classes, because both have a unique attack called a combat slide. When this is maxed out, it does ridiculous damage to enemies that it hits, and the Scoundrel specifically can do some pretty cool things with it, like shooting out of the slide or transitioning into a melee combo after making contact with an enemy. When it's maxed out, the initial hit does upwards of about 40 damage, which is enough to one-shot some of the weaker enemies, like B1 battle droids. And it's another one of those moves that's equally as good in exploration. Just slide into breakable stuff and rake in those studs. On top of that, if you're a COD player or if you're a player of Apex Legends, you can, to a certain extent, cancel this slide. Slide cancels are a thing in that game, and you can kind of do it here, although it doesn't really help you the same way in those games. Just a fun thing that you can do. And with that, guys, those are 8 combat tips you should know in LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I hope these gave you some good ideas. The enemies in this game aren't exactly difficult, so it's not like you need a super in-depth strategy guide to beat them or anything, but it does help knowing what's possible in-game. I really like how LEGO Star Wars borrows some of the best elements of combat from other successful Star Wars titles. It makes getting into this one easier if you've played those games in the past. But that's going to be it from me, guys. Once again, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you're new, consider subscribing and getting notified. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!